2024. Ravaged by an unprecedented global pandemic, the world lies in a state of unmitigated chaos. The flames of rebirth grow ever more ferocious amidst the violence and uncertainty of modern-day America. From the ashes, 4 schlubby white men emerge, unable to resist the thrum of their biological clocks. In their hearts, they knew only one fate awaited them. To start a podcast with a questionable premise and speak with authority on things they knew very little about. And so was born Learner's Permit.
Learner's Permit. Learner's Permit. Learner's Permit.
Learner's Permit.
Learner's Permit. Learner's Permit.
Learner's Permit. Learner's Permit.
Hello and welcome to the Learner's Permit podcast, a show where 4 friends lock themselves in a room and forcefully educate each other on the topics they're most passionate about. Each week, one host selects a subject to educate the other 3 about in hopes of broadening their woefully narrow horizons. My name is Adam. I am less than prepared for this episode, but we're going to wing it. To my left, I got Kody.
Oh, we're going backwards this time.
Yeah, changing it up on you.
Hello.
Wow, that was really good. I'm Austin, the proponent of take more time to make sure that your game is actually good instead of releasing it too early. And to my left is...
Oh, my name's Liam, and I'm the academic of the group.
I got really fucking thrown by you going the opposite way. That really fucked with me.
Keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, don't get used to routine, buddy.
Oh, no.
What happens if I throw to you?
That's fine.
Straight across. For everyone listening, I want you to know the makeup and the orientation of the table right now. We're sitting round table at a small wooden table. I am directly across from Kody.
If they paid attention during the intro, they should be able to tell.
Well, but now they can't because we're throwing it for a loop, all right? I'm directly across from Kody, and just in case you can't tell orientation, to Cody's right is Adam, and directly across from him is Austin.
We're going to go forward with the podcast and record all the audio as directional, so make sure you use directional audio playback when you're listening. It needs
to be capable of directional audio, surround sound.
So that you'll be in the middle of the table when you listen to this.
Yes.
Each of us will just refer to one another as the person to my left, the person across the table from me.
There will be a quiz
That's not a bad idea, honestly, Adam. I like that
idea. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say something, but I don't know if I want to
talk about your day.
No, I don't want to talk about my day.
Why? Has it been bad?
No, it's been very mediocre.
I was going to ask how your day was. So.
Oh, well,
or how it's been.
I woke up and then I cleaned a little bit and then everyone showed up.
No, you slept first and then you woke up. You got to start at the beginning.
I hate it.
True.
I was asleep and I had a dream and then I don't remember the dream was, and then I woke up and then I cleaned and then everyone showed up.
Wait, that's a fucking lie.
What?
You do remember what the dream was?
No, I remember yesterday's dream. I don't remember today's dream.
Oh, okay.
Cody got subpoenaed. That's all we need to say.
My dream from Saturday.
So, Austin, how was your day?
Oh, we're going full force here. It's good. I didn't do a lot today. I woke up kind of late and then neglected the lawn chores.
Hell yeah, baby.
How's my lawnmower doing?
Good. Yeah, first pull every time. Yeah.
You gave a lawnmower to Austin?
Yeah, so my riding lawnmower does not work currently.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that the other day. Yeah.
So I've been bumming the push mower off.
How does it feel to go from such luxury to having to be down here with the rest of us?
So
I have a ride-on mower.
Yeah, that's why he's not using
I'm on the fucking pinnacle, baby.
But honestly, this push mower is so light in comparison to what I was slaved on as a kid that like I can actually pick this up.
Did you have one of those non-motorized ones? I used to have one of those.
Oh yeah, this one also
the metal one that's just like a little.
Yeah. So this, oh no, not that. This is like some of them, you know, they have the drive in them. So as long as it's actually cutting, then it will pull it forward.
Yeah.
I hate those. This one also doesn't have that, which is nice because you have like full control.
You don't like that? I have one it's like a Honda one, which is really funny. Lawnmower with the Honda logo, and it does have that drive, but it's like variable, so you have to be pulling a little lever to make it go forward.
Right.
which is kind of nice. And there's
Yeah.
a dial to affect how.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like if you're trying to cut something precisely and it wants to pull you forward.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I know,
fair.
I get that it like assists to help, so you're not pushing it the whole way. But this
It's good,
one's
it's
so
good for
light.
older people.
Yeah.
Are you calling him old?
No, I'm just saying it's good for people who are old that mow their lawns, as many old people do.
Yeah, that's true. I bought that Craftsman mower back in like 2018. I fucking love that thing.
It works great. Yeah.
So how was the rest of your day?
It's good. I showed up here, saw you guys. We had donuts. So
Adam brought donuts.
I did.
You forgot to mention the fat doobie that you smoked on your way here.
Oh yeah, of course, on the way up, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Liam, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. If we're starting at the very start of my day, around midnight, probably like midnight, 12:05, something like that. I was eating ice cream in bed, and then I woke up.
Ice cream for breakfast.
Mowed my back lawn. Well, it wasn't breakfast. It was.
What time was
It was literally a midnight snack.
12:01. It was.
So it's technically the AM.
No, but it's a
Well,
midnight
okay,
snack.
where does breakfast start for you, Adam? I want to know where
It's
where's
when you
your
break the fast from sleeping, right?
Well,
So-
that's implying that I had a fast at all.
Well, 'cause
Right
you were
before I
sleeping.
ate the ice cream, maybe 20, 30 minutes before, I ate my leftover food from earlier in the day because I had gone rollerblading. And that, requires a lot of energy. So I was recooing my energy.
and this was just before midnight that you had.
Yeah. I ate that
So-
before midnight. And then after midnight, so after I was like,
Then I don't
Ice
think
cream?
I don't think you qualify for breakfast.
that's
then.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I didn't break a fast because I didn't
So
have
you-
a fast.
You got to
So-
wait
Alright,
for the
alright.
next day. Yeah. and
But
then-
I'm actually curious now, Adam. What in terms of time period? When's the earliest you'll have breakfast? And I'm putting that in air quotes. And when's the latest you'll have breakfast? And where does it start going into brunch territory?
So I would say brunch territory is probably like between 10:30 and 12. But
You say brunch?
Yeah.
No, I'd say I agree with you 10:30, but I think it goes
past noon.
I think it goes past noon to probably like 1.
Okay. Yeah. I thought about
Just
saying
like-
that, but then wouldn't that just be over? Because I consider like high noon to be lunchtime.
High noon.
I was just gonna agree with him, but then when I think about when I eat lunch, it's only ever at like probably 1 or 2 in the
Right.
afternoon.
I mean, me too.
But like the big thing I think is like if you go to like a restaurant and they're like, hey, endless fucking mimosas and Bloody Marys for brunch, it's always like 10:30 to 1.
Yeah, that's a fair point. About the breakfast thing, I would say any hours of the AM before 10:30. That's technically morning. So
There's no early cutoff for you?
No.
You'd eat breakfast at 3 a.m?
I mean, if I was somebody who had to be getting up at that hour for work or something, yeah.
I've definitely done that. I've worked at 5 o'clock in the morning for like long periods of
What'd
time.
you eat for breakfast when you worked then?
That's a great question because most of the time I wouldn't. But I would
Oh, so
like.
you answered the question
Well, I
and said
don't-
in an affirmative and then said, well, actually, I wouldn't eat
Well,
breakfast.
I'm not someone who like eats breakfast like most of the time.
Yeah.
Like maybe once every 2 weeks I'll eat breakfast.
When you were still serving, did you make it a point to have breakfast every day?
I usually would like to eat, but and the Army does give you like a period to eat in the mornings after PT, but sometimes I would procrastinate and fill that time with things I should have done the night before so that I could show up to work prepared for stuff.
What was the time period that they gave you to eat in the Army?
Oh, it's very generous. So like it's whenever you end PT to whenever
What is
you're
PT for those of us who...
physical training. So like in the mornings you wake up and then your company will have what they call a hard time when you have to be to work. And so like ours would be like formation would be at 6:30, right? So you would show up and then there's always the 15 minutes to the 15 minutes to the 15 minutes. Cause when someone puts out a hard time, then your leader that wants you to show up there wants you to be 15 minutes to that. And then the next leader that's down in the line,
Oh,
will
you got to
do
be 15 minutes on that time. Yeah.
Right. And so inevitably like 6:30 is the hard time to be there in the mornings, but everyone shows up at like, rationally it would be like 5:45 when you get down to the team leader level. So it's like 5:45 is the report time. If everyone's not there by 6, then there's problems. And then 6:30 is, whatever. So but honestly, I can't even be mad because half the time there would be complications and people wouldn't fucking show up. So breakfast time. Yeah. It's usually like an hour and a half ish. So like our hit time to come back to work was 09.
So would you guys get like bagels, sausage,
So if you went
yogurt?
to like the dining facility, they had all that shit, and I would like pack it on with like eggs and then the yogurt and then toast. And
Do you guys have
You would
like
want a
hotel
carb load.
eggs in the army?
Gross.
no, worse, army eggs.
It's army eggs.
So
Scramblios.
you know, they call them cooks, but I don't know. No one goes to culinary school in the army. Like if you do fried, or excuse me, scrambled eggs in the army, they literally pull out a bag of eggs that have been like
A bag of eggs.
Yes,
not a carton.
Yes, a bag of eggs. They've already been cracked and like beat,
De-shelled. No, I'm with you. I'm following.
Cody wants you to help you tell the story.
I've never heard that. It sounds like you're talking about like
Pistachios.
like layering an onion or something. Like you're getting ready to cut. You're like, yeah, they've been de-shelled. But yes, they've been de-shelled and then beat, and then they put them in the bag. So like all that the quote unquote cook has to do is throw them on the stove, and then they just scramble eggs. And yeah, so
Appetizing.
Liam, you looked at me like I was a fucking crazy person.
well, because that's a kind of an unhinged way to say that.
It's
De-shelled. It's not a lobster.
No.
It's a fucking egg.
I don't think you're a crazy person, Cody. I looked at you with recognition of a guy who wanted to jump in and prove that he knew what a word meant. But anyway, to finish out your question, I had a midnight snack and then I went to bed. I woke up nice and early at 7 this morning. Nice reasonable time to be up. Got up. I mowed my damn lawn. And then I came here.
I'm going back to this egg thing real quick while I'm here. Adam, can you crack an egg with one hand?
Yes.
Can you crack an egg with one hand, Austin?
No, I've only tried once and it ended in disaster, so I don't do it.
I'm actually really fucking good at making eggs.
I've got to be honest. I've never
Making
tried. I
eggs?
just use the goddamn counter because
Well,
it's
cooking.
there and it's easy.
I can crack eggs effortlessly. I can cook them scrambled or fried
You
or
crack your
omelet.
eggs with one hand?
Yeah, and then you open it. And
What kind of eggs are you eating?
what do you mean?
What kind of eggs are you eating?
Like-
what kind of eggs do
like
you eat regularly?
Quail.
Yeah,
Are we talking like?
How do you prepare them?
emu eggs?
It's usually like scramble.
So Austin alluded to this earlier, but I figured today we could talk about announcing video games too early. Developers get all excited. Their jimmies are rustled, if you will. Elder Scrolls 6 is announced 30 years before it'll probably come out.
Or Cyberpunk that have been in development for like 15 years or some shit.
Yeah, Cyberpunk was originally announced in 2012. It's
When
still a long time.
It came out what in 2020?
I think so, yeah.
But it
Either
kept
2020 or 2021.
But then it kept getting pushed back, and then you and one of our other friends was like, "Guys, this game's gonna be so good." And Austin and I in the background being like, "This game's gonna fucking suck," and I hope it sucks because you guys are so hyped
Well,
for it.
I was so cynical about games at that point because so many other ones, like anything that was on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One library, was consistently dog ass at launch. Like, and then they would launch it day one. There would be a patch for 55 fucking gigs. So I just got tired of like getting games. And then like, so now that's why I haven't bought it, because I don't want to give them money for fixing a game fucking 4 years after it came out. Cause everyone's like, oh, I swear it's good now. I was like, cool. That's great. I don't want to like reward that behavior by giving them money afterwards and be like, it's okay, little buddy. Here you go. Here's my money.
Well, that wasn't CD Projekt Red's fault. They're actually typically a pretty reputable company.
Still, when you're giving them money and then like now it's just the industry standard that we have freaking double digits of gigs and day one patches, and then they know that they can just fix it on the back end. Like, or look at how disastrous Modern Warfare 3's release was. Like, I didn't buy that game because I knew it was going to be dog shit, and it's still dog shit. Like,
You're not wrong about that.
You mean like the one that came out just recently, or
yeah, so like so the original Modern Warfare came out in 2019 and it was awesome. Like it worked day one. Like sure, you still had a fucking day one patch and it was stupid, but it's like it worked day one, it did things well, and it like reinvigorated in my opinion, reinvigorated Call of Duty as a game because it sucked for the
You
last
mean the remake of Modern Warfare? you're
yeah,
talking
and it
about?
gets really confusing and stupid.
It does get really confusing.
Yeah.
And stupid.
But the game, like the gameplay was different enough, and it was like a reboot of that timeline. I felt that it was good. And then when they announced Modern Warfare 2, I'm like, it seems a little bit too soon for this. And then they were like, oh, I swear it's good. I never played it. I'm sure it was probably good, whatever. But then they announced Modern Warfare 3 like 6 months after Modern Warfare 2, and I was like, it's gonna be dog shit. They're just cranking them
And
out
it
again.
was,
yeah,
yeah.
like that's the whole point of
What do
them.
you mean again? Was there ever a point where they didn't crank them out? There's been a Call of Duty every year.
Right, yeah. So
But
well, that's the
usually,
problem.
like a Call of Duty game, if it gets a sequel, it'll be like 2 or 3 years. But because there's like 3 different developers of
yeah,
those
and
games,
they usually flip flop. So like, yes, there's industry fatigue for the title. I totally like that's 100%
Well,
the truth.
also
But
they have a whole different thing there because they don't really give a it seems like they really don't give a shit about the like game releases. That's just extra money to line their pockets.
Right.
I mean, Warzone is their whole
right, and that's
shtick now,
well,
right?
And so that's my problem with it. Is like it eventually turned into just how do we sell Warzone, and then all the games started being shoved into the same fucking game. So it's like I couldn't play the original Modern Warfare without Cold War or Vanguard infecting it somehow. Like it would, when you start it up, it would ask you which game you wanted to start up. And like, I fucking launched Modern Warfare. I want to play Modern Warfare. I don't want to play fucking Vanguard. And it would always ask you to buy Vanguard when you started up fucking Modern Warfare 2019.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, I'm done with this game, dude. I'm just so done with this shit.
This almost seems like the opposite, like the inverse of what Adam was talking about, though, because this seems like a deliberate choice. It's not
Right.
that the game's being released too early. It's just a deliberate choice to half-ass the retail side of the game.
Right. Yeah. This
drive
ended
people-
up just becoming a little diatribe of mine that you guys had to listen to. I'm
You're very
sorry,
passionate
but yeah.
about it, though. I respect it.
Yeah. Well, because it started to reinvigorate hope again. And then I was like, I knew it. I knew I couldn't
Yeah.
trust him.
You know, I played what was it? Black Ops Cold War.
Yeah. I thought the
Because I
campaign
love
was kinda good.
the original Black Ops, and Black Ops 2 was a guilty pleasure of mine, probably my favorite of any of the Call of Duty
I never
games.
played it. I hear really good things about
I
it.
loved
but-
the multiplayer because it was just stupid and fast.
It's like the fan favorite.
The story was so dumb, though. Like, yeah, did you play the first one? The first
Yeah,
Black
I
Ops?
played the first one, and I've seen stuff on the second one.
What do they mean?
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
fun game. But I played Cold War thinking, oh, maybe it'll be something like that. Nothing like that.
Well, and like the twist was super easy to guess because now the whole thing with Black Ops is like there has to be a twist, and the twist almost always inevitably is the numbers of in some capacity, right? Like this time it was like MK Ultra or whatever, and it's like you're the bad guy and you should be mad. Like
Was that the twist?
yeah, the twist was you were the bad guy and you were brainwashed by MK Ultra, and then there's like a really like
That's epic. So the American government is still the bad guy.
yeah, and well, so
Cool.
this is the thing, right? At the end, they're like, all right, now that you know the truth, you have a chance to like betray them. And I was like, this doesn't make any contextual sense because I, as the player, have no ties to like being in the group that the character was in before. I had a good time with it, but yeah, it's like you could see it eroding away, and then like that's like the last semblance of like I can tell the next one's going to be pretty bad.
You know, I want to talk about a game that is near and dear to my heart that is a chief victim of this, perhaps the victim of this. Yes, Cody, you're chomping at the bit.
I'm trying to think of a game. I'm trying to get to it, but I can't get anything.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't
Go
have
ahead.
anything.
He's edging
I'll
out.
vamp.
Is it-
I'll vamp.
Is it Fable 4?
No, I don't care about that. Fable
But-
1 was a great game. 2 was okay. 3, you like play a king and you're like deciding stuff for the kingdom,
Yeah.
but all the choices are very black and white.
Yeah,
and-
very. But you have to get like a fuck ton of money to make sure that
Yeah,
you can
but
do
you
everything.
could just like buy the real estate and then set your Xbox clock to the future to have all the money.
Yeah. Wait, but I want to hear what you were talking about. What was the game that you were going to bring up?
Well, I was trying to vamp so that Cody could get
I couldn't
to
think
some
of-
suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay, you know.
Never mind.
What? No. Speak your mind, son.
Snake is telling Raiden about Vamp in Metal Gear Solid 2, and he goes, oh, so he likes the taste of blood. That's why you call him Vamp. And then Snake, deadpan, 100% serious, goes, no, it's because he's bisexual. And you're
What?
to
What the
this
fuck
day,
does that mean?
To this day, I have no idea what the hell that even means. And then he just brushes by it like Raiden's insane. And I was like, no. Can we go back to that? I want to talk about that. I don't know what that means. So like when you're saying I'm just vamping, what does that mean?
Well, that in this context, it means I'm just filling space.
Yeah.
For Cody
Right,
to
so-
have time to do that.
So I'm
but-
still just as confused as I've ever been.
I'm watching someone play Metal Gear Solid 1 from the PlayStation 1. And Snake and Meryl go into a cave. And she goes, oh, look at these dogs. And he's like, they're half wolf, half husky hybrids. And she goes, how do you know that? And he goes,
I'm a musher,
What?
yeah, that's what he says. He goes,
which is technically not incorrect. It just
Wait,
sounds
does he literally
stupid.
say, "I'm
yeah,
a
he
musher"?
literally says,
he goes, I'm a musher.
I'm a musher.
And it's, I was like doing cleaning when I walked in the room. I went, what the fuck? And Meryl goes, what? We had the same reaction. I was like, what the fuck is this?
What is a
Anyway.
musher?
A musher is
like-
like the person that like
You're like, mush,
drives-
mush.
Yeah.
a sled
driver.
sled dog driver. Yeah. It does sound ridiculous. And like, can you imagine being on a very important top secret mission and you're like, oh yeah, fun fact, by the way, these dogs, yeah, they're fucking half wolf, half husky.
actually because he's bisexual.
I don't get it, dude. I think it's a Japanese to English lost in translation thing. My
Like
favorite
macaroni rascals?
What?
fucking excuse me.
What are macaroni rascals?
There isn't a one-to-one translation for Jersey Shore, so it ends up somehow getting skewed to Macaroni Rascals.
What's the game, Liam?
Macaroni Rascals, the video game. No, it's a game that's near and dear to my heart, but not quality by any means. The game is Duke Nukem Forever, which was announced, and then I think it took them 13, maybe 15 years to release it. And in that time, it had the unfortunate timing of being announced before the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare and being released, I think, after Modern Warfare 2 or after Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, in like 2010
So at that point, so many leaps and bounds had been made in the first-person shooter genre in particular that they basically had to keep reworking the game, and they spent a lot of resources developing tech for pieces of the game that, in retrospect, maybe didn't deserve as much time. Basically, the one thing about that game was that they had specifically they poured resources into developing the reflections for the mirrors so that when you'd walk over, you'd be able to see Duke in the mirror. They also put resources into allowing there's certain sections of the game where maybe you have a whiteboard or something, some surface you can draw
so
on,
you could draw on
and
it.
you can there's one point at which a fan comes up and asks for your autograph. And you can just write whatever. And obviously, when I played the game, I drew a dick. That's the only thing you're gonna fucking do. But they made that a thing. They took the time to develop that as not an already pre-existing game feature. And in the time that they were developing that and the reflections and allowing you to program them so you can pick poop up out of the toilet or piss in a urinal. In that time, it seems they were
all of that
surpassed by a decade of development in the FPS genre. So
being able to pick shit up out of the toilet was a feature of that game.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the only thing I remember from that. And there's Master Chief's armor in the game, and he just says,
power armor is for pussies.
that's all I remember from that game.
Yeah, except he says it all cool and Duke-like.
So I know none of us are obviously professional game developers, but
or gamers.
as game enthusiasts, in your mind, obviously before a game is announced, you would hope that some level of considerable development has been taking place. So when you're thinking about from the moment it's announced, what's the period of time between that and release that's adequate to you?
I feel like a year to 2 years. Because then it's just out of your mind enough where they announce it and you go, oh man, this game's coming out. Fucking Backflip McGee is coming out in 2 years. Sounds great. And then you forget about it in 6 months.
I could learn how to do a backflip in
that time. Yeah. So then 6 months goes by and you completely forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then another 6 months comes out or goes by. Then they're like, oh, by the way, it's coming out in a year. And you're like, oh, fuck. And then reinvigorates you to be excited about the game. But then if it's 4 years or 5 years, you're like, I don't give a fuck about it. It makes you want to play that game less.
I think it's entirely contextual to the fan base of who it's marketed to, how you market things, and then whether it's a sequel or not.
Well, that's a very good point. Very, very good point. And why don't we first try to answer the question of why? Why do these things get announced so early?
In my personal opinion, it's because now video games are because of how lucrative they are, everyone's trying to generate No Man's Sky levels of hype about stuff.
That's a great example.
That's a really good example. I have another thing for that. If you're announcing a sequel to the original game and you announce the sequel, people are going to go back and play that first game. It's like with the Fallout series.
It gets them hyped up.
It gets them hyped up.
Well, you want to maintain
Unless it's
interest.
Left 4 Dead and you announce the sequel months after the first one came out, and then it generates a huge controversy, and then no one wants to play your second game. And people were upset because they're like, it should just be an expansion because it's not really a new game. So now you want us to pay $6 or whatever it was back then, $50 or whatever, probably $60 for.
I feel like they probably gave a discount to people that own the first game.
And I think that was because people were upset. And it if you think
but
about
they
it,
also
it makes
ported
sense.
all of the
Yeah, you could
levels
play
from
the
the first
first
game
one
into the second
Yeah.
game. So if you bought the second game, you owned both.
There's a parallel thing going on to this right now, and I think Valve handled it awesome because they actually listened to their fan base.
Companies listening to their fan base.
Blizzard released Overwatch 1, which I had a blast with up until they nerfed Mercy, and then I fucking dropped the game. But
Jump ship pretty early then.
and then Overwatch 2 came out, and they just act like Overwatch 1 doesn't exist.
Well, no, they don't act like that. They literally
They erased
erased
it.
it.
Because
you paid money for it. Well, now you
Yeah.
have the game that is free that you're gonna like just as much.
So, yeah, when I boot up my PS4 now, and it like I look in my game library, it says games that are that I've played that are uninstalled is Overwatch 2. I've never played that game a day in my life, but it's because they digitally deleted Overwatch 1. I can't even fucking play the game anymore. But I own the hard copy of the fucking disc. So it's like they tried to take it away. Whereas Valve supported both games independently and then gave you Left 4 Dead 1 with Left 4 Dead 2. So I think they handled that awesome. And that's like,
that's fair.
yeah, that's only like a 5-year difference. So yeah, like it's crazy to me that you could do two of those things simultaneously, like, but just a couple years difference changes all of that shit.
The period of time between Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, the most recent ones, not even a full year had gone by. Typically with direct sequels to Call of Duty games, it takes 2 or 3 years because there are 3 developers of those games who cycle through to give each one time to work on their next game. But Modern Warfare 3 came out immediately on the heels of 2. I would say that, while it still generated money, people who are fans of the campaigns and such didn't give a shit. And that's kind of the thing with as time goes on, when you're further and further away from the announcement, you're also losing interest and people are not giving a shit. I mean, I definitely had less enthusiasm.
Well, it's you though, that
you're just going to get duped.
Both of you guys are speaking from a place of being tired of the consistency and the like formula,
right?
Which is fine, but there are literally millions of people that will not tire of it, and there are millions of people who are getting onboarded for free with Warzone, who are newcomers to the franchise that will eat up that slop, baby.
Yep.
Eat up that fucking slop. And I think with Call of Duty, like they can just announce it whenever, because like clockwork, they're going to release a new one the following year.
Right.
I think there was like 1 year where they didn't, sometime in the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's probably right after Call of Duty World War II, when everyone was like, what the fuck are you doing?
It might.
It was like around Vanguard or Cold War, I think.
Yeah. But either way, it's like you just know. It's like sports games. Like all the FIFA games come out once a year. The Madden games come out once a year. Cody, you look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, no, I never really understood the fucking sports games ever.
I would just go play the sport if I wanted to play.
I mean, that's like the best example
really
you
is.
can point to for Call of Duty's formula. And the complaints you guys have are basically just like, I'm tired of the formula. I'm tired of their business model.
Right.
Which is why I feel like Call of Duty is not a good example of this, because there's never been an example where they announce a game and then it takes 15 years for the game to come out.
Right.
You're talking about something like Elder Scrolls 6. You're talking about No Man's Sky, which you mentioned, which I think
really
is
good one.
That's an interesting example because it's a phenomenal example of they announced it really early, but they did release relatively soon after they announced it.
Yep.
It was just nothing what they promised.
It was not what they said at all.
They were doing a
don't
PR
worry, keep
campaign.
looking, you'll find another.
They're doing
human
a PR campaign and just out and out lying on live television. But from what I understand, they've largely gone back and corrected over the
fixed
few
everything.
years. But like you were saying, Austin, you shouldn't have to have it be that situation. Like,
right. And I
bake
just
it
don't
in
want
the
to
oven for a
reward
little while.
people for figuring it out years after the game's
But
release.
I mean, I think that the thing is that these games, especially if they're not known quantities, something like No Man's Sky is a lot different than something like Elder Scrolls 6. Because Elder Scrolls 6...
Don't point at me. I don't like those games.
Elder Scrolls 6 is a good example because you have a proven success with all of the games that came before it. I mean, every single Elder Scrolls game has been a huge hit. Skyrim has been ported to fucking fridges, like you can play it on anything.
A Samsung fridge.
Yes,
You
literally.
can play it on Amazon Alexa.
Yeah, that's what.
Really?
Can you actually?
Yeah, you can with your
That's
voice.
So
Oh my God.
dumb.
So it's just like this is that there's success there. There's no real like worry that you're going to announce it and then it's going to take so long that everyone forgets, because no one's going to forget. No one's going to forget.
Right.
They're going to be like, well, what is this? We want to know more. But like, you don't have to tell them anything because you're developing it and you have the resources and it's going to be profitable pretty much no matter what.
Like Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta.
Because even if it's garbage, people will buy it based on name recognition alone.
Right.
Something like No Man's Sky, you have to get out there and be like, this thing, it's coming up. You have to time it. Like you guys were talking about, you have to make sure that it's like close enough to the release, but far enough along in your development cycle where you are able to flaunt all of these things.
But I think they're like an example of somebody doing that really well, but also getting like less of just a dropping the whole premise on you at one go and then going, get excited about this. Was I don't know if you guys remember how The Last of Us was announced. This was in like 2009-ish. They started working on it. So maybe like 2011 was when they first started talking about it.
They kind of made it seem like it was going to be a DayZ style game, right?
Well, so they didn't come out the gates and call it The Last of Us and say like, this is what's happening or whatever. They would put little droplets of information in like other Naughty Dog games, or they came up with like fake web pages to make it seem
like an AR campaign, like augmented reality kind of.
ARG.
ARG, that's what I meant. Augmented reality game, right? Is that what?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. ARG is like any kind of interactive shit, like outside the actual text itself or like the thing itself.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of games have done stuff like that where they do like promotional stuff. I'm trying to think of a good
Didn't Halo
example.
2 do one?
Yeah, it was an ARG called I Love Bees.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So yeah, it's probably very similar to that because they came out in Uncharted 3. They had it like the only thing that was mentioned was there was a newspaper in the bar at the beginning of the game that said like America, because you're in London at the time. The newspaper was saying that there was a lot of cases of like a disease spouting up somewhere in the United States, and that they didn't really know what it was, and they thought that it was coming from cordyceps. So like that's like a little in-game building sort of thing to generate people to be like, oh, what is this about? And then they came out with
Uncharted
3. This is
yeah.
2011.
So wait, hold on. This is for my own knowledge. So is Uncharted also in the...
No.
No, they actually, so like they've never come out and said they're in the same universe, but it's always been alluded to that they're kind of in the same universe. Like
Portal and Half-Life.
Yeah, but you
Right.
can't keep telling stories in the Uncharted universe without addressing. Oh, everyone
Correct.
in the United States died, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
Nathan Drake is the
they're not
last
happening-
man with an American accent in the world.
They're not happening simultaneously. Uncharted is happening before The Last of Us is happening.
Yeah, but except if you have that news article in there to say a disease has just been discovered in the United States, in the canon of The Last of Us, that disease spreads immediately upon the
so
development of
fast.
the disease. So
Right. So I guess that makes sense.
you'd have maybe, and the thing is, they're in the same universe goes out the window because Uncharted 4 is years later
That's
after
true.
Uncharted 3.
Okay, fair.
And they
is
have a
objectively
child.
the best
and-
Uncharted, but
Sure, you can say that, and I won't contest it. But
it sounds like you want to.
Maybe it's like the Left 4 Dead thing where maybe Uncharted is a movie franchise in The Last of Us, where like the Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead is a movie franchise inside of the Half-Life universe. Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
It does.
all the loading screens are movie posters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Show me one movie theater in any of the Half-Life games.
Well, because it's after the Combine takes over the world. Like, then they're not going to give them creature comforts like movies. They just stick them in apartment buildings and oppress people.
Show me one movie poster in any of the Half-Life games.
I think it's just more of a way for Valve to have fun with the fact that they're trying to link all their games together. Like, short of fucking Team Fortress, you can't link Team Fortress 2 in with
Or Dota.
Half-Life. Yeah, it's impossible. But I think they're just having fun with it. Is it like to spark imagination?
Actually, Team Fortress 2 is all a dream in Gordon Freeman's mind.
Yeah, before he wakes up on the subway going to City 17. Wake up, Mr. Freeman, and
You've
smell the
collected
rocket
enough hats,
jumps.
Mr. Freeman.
Yeah, you can escape the simulation. But no, so like basically what I was getting at is there was like a trickle of information for this game to get people intrigued of like, well, what the hell does this have to do with Uncharted? Like, what's going on here? And then eventually they did announce the game of like, hey, you know, The Last of Us. Like, and you didn't really know quite what it was about. There was never a moment where they like slapped their dick down on the table and was like, this is what this game is about. Like, you know what I mean? So
Here, take this.
and because it was a new IP, it was from a really well-known company, but because it was from a new IP, I thought that was really smart. You know, like they didn't
Yeah.
just go out there and they weren't just like, hey, fucking buy our
Well,
game
they're-
because you know us.
They're planting seeds to generate organic interest without
Right.
actually having to pay for extra marketing at that point.
But I think
Which
that's
do you-
something
do
that
you
only
feel like that's a different thing than announcing a game too early?
yes.
Because at what point did it become understood that those were hints to a new game?
Like once like those the websites were being like produced and stuff, people kind of figured it was going into a new IP that they were gonna announce. And that's when they kind of started to understand what was going on.
Ooh, you just reminded me of something.
Yeah, I don't even remember when they actually announced that it was The Last of Us. But at that point, like, you know, maybe there was like 2 years or a year and a half where they actually had to do work and you knew what the game was. And then it came out in 2013. So
What were you reminded of, Adam?
Bungie started teasing Destiny in ODST and nobody picked up on it.
how did
How?
they do that?
There were posters that showed the Traveler above Earth in ODST, and nobody
Really?
knew what
Really?
that was. Yeah.
Are they still in the game? Like
Yep.
if you played it now, you could see it?
I think in the Master Chief Collection version, I'm not sure whether they're still in, but in the OG 360 version of ODST, you can see teases for Destiny.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Are they in like the town squares and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to go check it
Yeah.
out.
With the sad saxophone rain music in the background.
So, Kody, did you play all the Fable games?
Yeah.
So you said Fable 4 was announced in like the Xbox One era. Do you?
I don't remember exactly when. Maybe it was like right when the series. No, because the Series X was getting announced in 2020, right? Or getting released in the 2020.
Somewhere around there.
Wait, so who announced Fable 4? Because I thought, didn't Peter Molyneux say that he wasn't going to do another one? He had like some weird, crappy spin-off game that was like Fable something.
Yeah, that was like a weird 4-player one, right?
Yeah. I just know that everything that guy says is he was like the prototype for the guy who was trying to promote No Man's Sky. Because Peter Molyneux, like for the original Fable, he threw in so many things that just were not, one, were not possible, and two, were absolutely not in the game. He was like, oh, you could plant a tree and then like it'll grow as the game progresses. And it's like, no.
That's not how that works.
No, it didn't. And it wasn't like that.
You could technically do that in Luigi's Mansion.
Is that true?
Yeah. There's a little
Luigi's
plant.
Mansion, way ahead of its time.
There's a little plant in the graveyard in Luigi's Mansion that you can water and it'll grow.
Is it in a grave?
It's by a grave.
Wow.
No, so I think
Wow.
I think it came out in like 2020, the trailer for it. And then a new trailer came out for it last year with Richard Nottoway. He was doing like a voice, but he was also a character in it, but he was also kind of the narrator of the trailer.
Is he a vamp?
No, he's just bisexual.
No, so I'm kind of confused on it right now. So it's been like maybe 4 years. And there's still no release date for it.
Would you say even before it was announced, you were a fairly devoted Fable fan?
I just didn't think that more games were coming out, because the last one I played was Fable 3 when it came out, and then I never touched it again. Actually, that's not true. I played the remastered version of 2 or 1 that came out recently on Steam.
Oh, yeah.
So I played those probably like 2016 when those came out.
Well, the reason I ask is because I know it's a franchise you like, and, you know, this upcoming title is still up in the air as of right now.
Yeah.
So for a franchise that you care about, at what point after, you know, just waiting for so long, can a developer come back into the limelight and start attempting to win back your interest? Like, what do they have to do?
I think they still have my interest. I think they still have my interest because they're not shoving it down your throat, being like, hey, we're still making a new game.
They're being quiet, but only saying something when they need to.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So that's where that lies for me. It's like,
Have they confirmed whether chicken kicking will still be a feature of the game?
I
Will I
hope
be
so.
able to eat 100 baby chicks to turn entirely evil,
Yeah.
to gain the benefits of being evil?
What's the benefit of being evil?
You have different abilities and you have access to different things. Like the first time I ever played the game, I was as evil as possible, and then I was a slumlord. I bought up all of the houses in the village that you started.
So here's my
and
thing:
raised the rent.
is I never play evil characters. in
Yeah,
video
I don't
games.
normally either, but that game really.
I
It's
don't
fun.
think I've ever done it.
That brought out your sadistic side.
Yeah, but you also there was something you could eat to turn you good too, so you could just like get all the benefits of being evil, and then like
And just revert back.
yeah, just revert back. But I think you visually stayed evil because like as you get evil or good, you like if you're good, you get a halo, and if you're evil, you
Yeah,
get
it's
Yeah.
kind of like
horns.
Mass Effect.
yeah, you get horns and flies. I believe if you're evil.
Or
There's my
Phantom
landlord,
Pain.
my
Yeah.
stinky landlord.
This sounds like the Fable equivalent of being a born again Christian.
Born again. I mean, I guess yeah. There's a very Judeo-Christian interpretation of morality, Adam. I agree.
but yeah,
agree.
no, I don't. Yeah, that like if a game developer isn't shoving it down your throat, being like, "Suck my dick, buy my game."
Right.
Well, but how often are you seeing examples of that where they do that for 10 years or prolonged amount of times? Because like I feel like more often it's they just
Cyberpunk.
don't say-
Star Citizen.
Well, they did, but the thing is, Cyberpunk was what? How
But
long? Was it?
Cyber-
13 years was it before, or 12 years, or 11 years, or something like that before they came out with
Right.
the game? So
And
they
I
were
don't
doing
think
that
they
not
did
because they were shoving it down your throat, but because they literally had such a long span of development where the game was, you know, developed and then scrapped and developed and then scrapped. I'm pretty sure because there were so many things happening in those 10 years, so many changes being made to the projected plan of the game.
I find the phenomena of Star Citizen very fascinating because it's been in early access alpha for over a decade.
It's been in,
Right.
we're going to take your money gladly.
But you have to pay to be in the pre-alpha or whatever this is.
Correct.
You buy your ship.
And like, it's such a cool concept, but yeah, I fucking hate that you could get like the most expensive ship in the fucking galaxy. And then they're like, we're doing a server wipe. Go fuck yourself. Like, and then you just have to do the whole thing over again. Like,
They just got approved for like a $600 million loan or something for that game. It's either 600 million or 600,000.
there's a big difference.
But they just got like approved for something like that so they can finally like start finishing the game. That game that's been around. Well, that's a completely different thing because that game's playable and they're still making updates to that game.
Right, it's playable, but it hasn't hit its 1.0 release.
It's also not playable in the form that they've announced. They have two different like branches of development for two different things, and none of it is what they promised in their original Kickstarter that is still up or whatever platform they're doing for it.
But you're saying like that is an example, right? But so was 7 Days to Die. And that just finally got finished after 10 years of development.
Except when you say
Yeah.
finished, they didn't make any changes. They just switched the version name to 0.9 or whatever
you
to
like start up the
1.0.
main,
Right, but they
the
kept
main screen
updating
and now
all
it
this
says
stuff.
1.0.
They didn't update the stuff.
Yeah, but no, they were updating, adding features
sure,
to the
they
game.
were-
And
no, they
feel
just
like-
said, well, we're done. We're done putting effort into this. So
Give
it's in
me-
1.0.
give me your money.
Star Citizen, I mean, it's been updated for over a decade and playable in early access alpha for over a decade, but
Have
It
any
feels
of us
like-
played it?
I technically own it, and my
You
computer.
paid money?
Yeah, I paid money for like the first early access version, and then I never touched it again because my computer was going to explode if I kept trying to play it.
And they just surpassed having like one more hairstyle than North Korea has as acceptable hairstyles.
There's a sucker born every minute. But I think that more fitting examples of what we're talking about are like, say, do you guys ever
Metroid
play-
Prime 4.
That was one of the ones I was about to mention. Let's talk about that for a second because that is Nintendo, who is like powerhouses of IP. Like all of their shit is stuff where it's name recognition. Anyone who knows a video game is going to know Metroid or Mario or Pokemon or whatever, you know? So Metroid Prime 4, it's a trilogy of like beloved games. By all means, there should be a sequel already. But they've confirmed basically, I think twice now, they've completely scrapped whatever work they had going on it. And that was announced what?
Metroid Prime 4 was announced in 2017, and a couple years went by with just radio silence from Nintendo, which is pretty typical of them. They hold their titles to a very, very high standard, and I would argue that they don't typically release half-baked shit like a lot of devs do these days. But anyway, that being said, I think it was in like 2019, they were like, we have decided to scrap development on what has been done so far with Metroid Prime 4 because it does not meet our standards, and we're just starting over.
At least they said something, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of studios that would be like, don't worry guys, everything's fine, we're just gonna we got a couple things to polish out, and behind the scenes the studio's burning down and they're like, we have nothing to show for this.
Well, the thing is that the team that was working on Metroid Prime 4 was actually a completely different team from the people who had made the original Prime games. Those were developed by Retro Studios. I forget who Prime 4 was supposed to be made by, but after Nintendo decided to give it the axe and start over, they said, okay, we're giving it back to Retro. So it's back in the original devs' hands now.
Which is better than Konami with Silent Hill,
Yeah.
because Team Silent got axed and then they never asked them to come back, and then they just completely destroyed Silent Hill, and now we don't see anything cool. Now we're
Right.
just getting another fucking, was it Silent Hill 2 remake, and now they're making Silent Hill 2 the movie, and I'm like, dude, just fucking tell a new story, or like do Silent Hill 3 or something. I don't want to play Silent Hill 2 for the 8,000th time. I love that game, but I'm tired of it popping up. It's like the Metal Gear Solid 3 thing. They're only choosing that one because they know it's going to get the most traction.
People want the cheese they're familiar with, Austin.
Right.
They don't like new cheese.
See, I just kept all my game consoles. I didn't throw them away. So it's like I just go back and play them if I want to play the old game.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. I didn't do that at all.
An interesting tactic that Nintendo uses, though, is that sometimes they will finish development of a game and just sit on it for a year or two before releasing it, which is what they did with Metroid Prime Remastered, I think. There were like leaks or rumors going around that they had actually finished Prime Remastered a few years ago, but they were just waiting for an opportune time to release it. And I think that what the case with Prime 4 will end up being is a Breath of the Wild Wii U situation where it's...
That'd be sick. You can ride horses at Samus.
Honestly, that would be kind of cool. But no, I just mean Breath of the Wild came out when Nintendo was transitioning from the Wii U to the Switch. So it came out on both of those devices. I feel like that'll probably be the case with Prime 4. It'll come out on the Switch and the successor as well.
I just checked. They announced it back in 2017 at E3.
Yep.
And then they were like, yep, it's going good. It's going great. And then in 2019, they were like, we're hitting the eject button on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Retro Studios is going to come back in and take it over. So
I have faith in them.
You're the looker-upper guy now.
I'm being the looker-upper guy. Because, Cody, you were being very polite and patient by not looking at your phone at all today. And I'm so proud of you.
Is he usually looking at his phone?
He
Did
is,
do that a lot?
yes, he's always looking at his phone. He's looking at memes.
You look at memes during the
When
podcast?
we record these
bro?
episodes, we have to edit them, and I can't tell you how many times someone will be talking, and
Cody will chuckle.
in mic number 3, I'll just hear, and I'll have to mute it. I'll have to mute it, and I know that it's unrelated to what's being said because usually what we're saying is very serious and not appropriate for laughter. So
My house, my rules, motherfucker.
yeah, Cody's a big phone boy. Anyway, I feel like we've discussed so many different. Like a myriad of
A free-form kind of discussion just to shoot the shit and get your thoughts on, your experiences with games being announced too early and at what point people lose interest.
Yeah, I think all of us have a range of what we want from developers when they say they're going to release a game.
I just want another Duke Nukem game. That's all. Give me the next Duke Nukem game. Don't take
2044,
13 years.
Duke Nukem, past forever.
Duke Nukem Ultimate.
Liam, can you look up one more thing for me real quick since you're the designated
absolutely.
looker-upper?
What do you need me to look up, Adam?
When did Bethesda announce Elder Scrolls 6? Because that was also...
That was actually pretty recent, I feel like, but let me look up.
When did ESO come out?
Elder Scrolls Online came out, I want to say, in 2014.
Did it?
Yeah, it was around then.
Oh, I have a memory of it coming out after Fallout 4.
I don't think so.
Elder Scrolls 6 was announced at E3 2018.
And they recently said it was going to be at least another 5 years or something. So,
Yeah, why would you even bother?
Yeah.
So at that point, it's going to be what? 13 years? The math guy over here.
What, 2018?
Oh, wait, no, 11. 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
Skyrim came out on November 11th, 2011. So it's been quite a long time since that.
11.
Yeah.
Make a wish.
Wow.
Anybody else have any final thoughts?
Yeah.
Any Final Fantasies, if you will.
I thought of that. I thought of that Duke Nukem quote.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I'm going to say it here.
Did you think of it or did you look it up
No,
earlier?
I knew the phrasing, but I didn't know the exact
Is
phrasing.
it an
It's a
actual
specific
original
joke.
line?
It's an original line, and he says, "Have a taste of my ball." Yeah, there you
Singular?
go.
That's what you couldn't remember.
Those are my closing thoughts.
A single ball?
Yeah, well, it's after you bash a boss monster with a fucking wrecking ball. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Lame.
Well, I think that's just going to do it for today. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me on another episode of the Learner's Permit podcast. Hopefully somebody has been illuminated or enlightened in some fashion. If not, then whatever, go fuck yourself. This is our podcast.
Yep. And our next episode, we're making another one. Keep tuned for when it will come out.
Is it because it's yours next?
It might come out soon. It might be a little while. We got to keep it in the oven and cook it,
It's a little bit underdone in the middle.
Well, no, I'm
Still
just
kinda
saying,
doughy.
we want to announce it so that everybody gets hyped for it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Next
that's fair.
episode.
Might be
Yeah.
too early. I don't know.
We'll have to
Tune
find
in
out.
for the 1.0
Might have to
update.
scrap it and fire all of our podcast hosts before we release the next one. Redo it all. Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Learner's Permit. Thanks for listening. We hope you learned something today. Until next time, goodbye.